Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about hybrid AI in Docker. Imagine tiny AI workers launching on your laptop and in the cloud at the same time. Today I will be showing a futuristic take on minions, where one conductor routes tasks to many smart helpers. We run a local model for privacy and speed and a cloud model for power and giant context. Together, they feel like one brain. You will see the full flow in Docker, plus a live demo and a roadmap for scaling to many minions. No prior setup needed beyond Docker desktop. Picture a swarm of tiny AI workers spawning around you. Some live close on your machine for instance responses. Others wake up in distant data centers with vast memory and strength. One conductor whispers the job and 1,000 hands deliver. This is not a concept. This is hybrid AI running in Docker with minions. I'm going to demonstrate one of the examples from the Docker minion GitHub. And we will be running the same on our local machine. As part of this example, we can see the connector is able to run the request locally, as well as it's able to run the request either remotely, or it can split between the local and the remote execution. This is where the most of the power is. So to run this example, we need Docker desktop, of course, and we need to clone this repository with git clone. Once you are in the repository, you can change to this directory. After exposing your Open API key, which you could expose it through the environment variables or setting up the environment variable on the command line, you could also change to different local model. And of course, you can also specify the remote model. Once you have set up everything, and you will be running the Docker compose to bring up the environment. I'm going to bring it up again so that I can demonstrate to you. The environment is coming up, and we will be soon interacting with it. The environment is up now. So we will be visiting the local web page on HTTP localhost 8080. In this case, the example gives the option to select a PDF file, and we can ask a question around the file. I'm going to use the same file which is specified in that GitHub, and also the same question which is mentioned in this particular document, where we will be able to get the different token amounts for local and the remote execution. Now the task here is, what are the 3 evaluation datasets used in the paper? And we will be using the same paper in this particular demo. So I'm going to load the PDF, which I've already done that, and paste the question. At this point, we have the capability of running the model either remotely. That's where the Open API key that we specified is going to be used, and it will be executing onto the cloud LLM. So let's select the remote model first, and we click on Start Remote Processing. In this case, the context will be taken and the model will be executed on the cloud, and the tokens will be given for that execution. So at the end, we see that 30,000 tokens, around 30,091 tokens were used for this processing. Now let's select Minions protocol, which is recommended in this particular example, which is of course saying the lower cost, and we say that start the Minions protocol. This will be executing locally as well as remotely. The connector is the piece which connects all these pieces together. The connector will be sending the context to the remote. Remote will break it up into multiple contexts, and those will be executed by the minions running locally. Let's start the minions protocol, and it is running now. So as we can see, it's executing, and once the task has completed, we will see the tokens that have been consumed. As we can see, we are losing some efficiency in execution when we are doing a combination. But when we are talking about very large models, so there is a trade-off once that happens. So that is where this particular white paper as well as the repository also talks about. So in this case, the remote token count is 7076. It was 30,091 tokens when it was remote only. Now it is 7,076 remote tokens. If we look at this particular GitHub repository README, we can see that there is a mention that there is a 5.7 times cost reduction while maintaining 97.9% of cloud model performance. I have another example which I will try to demonstrate, which also does a similar thing where you can specify running the request locally or remotely, or you could split the request, which I will be giving the source code as well as a demonstration in the next video. Now coming back to the white paper, which is linked to this particular GitHub README, the white paper is Minions cost-effective collaboration between on-device and cloud language models. So it's a must-read to understand how this whole Minions model work. Now, as you can see that this is going to be a game changer, where a connector will be able to spawn multiple minions to do different tasks. And it will be able to take help from the remote giant models which are tuned for particular tasks, and execution in collaboration will give us one of the best benefits of hybrid AI. Thanks for watching.